Chairman yields back. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Torres, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Schwartz, in your testimony, you rightly described NYCHA as an irreplaceable asset for the city of New York. And I worry you were invited to testify not to underscore the irreplaceable value of public housing, but to discredit and delegitimize public housing so that it's no longer seen as the irreplaceable asset that it is. And I worry that there are cynical critics of public housing who could easily seize upon your words to present a profoundly distorted and decontextualized view of NYCHA. My first question, do you think the federal government has historically treated NYCHA as the irreplaceable asset that it is?
I don't know if that's a question for me, really, to
You have no
answer.
opinion on the funding levels of
Well, I have an
Let me make it more concrete. The latest appropriations bill passed by Congress cuts funding for NYCHA by 14%, which translates into the loss of $100 million. Do you think a 14%, $100 million loss is an example of the federal government treating public housing as an irreplaceable asset?
I don't think that's the fair question for me.
You were the monitor for public housing for 5 years.
And I wanted
Funding is clearly relevant to the operation of public housing.
And I wanted to be the monitor because I think NYCHA and public housing authorities are so important.
Secretary Scott Turner denies that NYCHA has a funding crisis, despite knowing nothing about public housing. Do you acknowledge that NYCHA has a funding crisis?
Oh, yes, I think there is a funding crisis. The question is, why does it have a funding crisis? And there are many aspects to it.
Which level of government is the primary funding source for public housing?
Well, I think the initial level is the public authorities themselves and in the way they're managed.
It's the overwhelming source of funding for public housing. How much capital funding does NYCHA receive annually?
I forget now. I forget the number. It's a huge number.
$700 to $800 million.
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge that NYCHA has an aging portfolio?
Has an aging portfolio? Oh, it definitely has an aging.
And what is do you know the age of the oldest building in the NYCHA portfolio?
The oldest building? Yep. It's about 65 years.
Longer, 91 years.
91 years.
NYCHA dates back to 1935. Do you know how many boilers are in NYCHA's portfolio? Boilers, the number of boilers in NYCHA's portfolio?
The boilers are a very interesting subject, as I think we both know.
No, I'm asking, do you know the number of boilers in NYCHA's portfolio?
Oh, well, they have 2,300 buildings. Some buildings have shared boilers, but you have 2,300 buildings
so the answer is,
on 300 campuses.
The answer is 755 boilers. Would you agree that replacing an aging portfolio of 755 boilers is a massive and expensive undertaking?
It is, and one of the big concerns is how it got into the position that it's in.
I want to go to elevators. NYCHA has 3,044 elevators. Would you agree that replacing an aging portfolio of over 3,000 elevators, again, is an expensive and massive undertaking?
We looked at it, and we're not sure that there is an industry that can provide that number of elevators when they're needed.
I get the basic point in roofs. NYCHA has 1,764 roofs. Again, replacing a portfolio of over 1,700 roofs is a massive and expensive undertaking. I mean, NYCHA's managing property on a scale that is unprecedented in the history of our country. There is no analog to the New York City Housing Authority. In order to operate a property effectively, a property owner needs predictability in funding. Yet funding for public housing is anything but predictable. Funding for NYCHA is subject to the whims of congressional appropriations, which varies widely from year to year. So as you know, NYCHA does not receive 100% of the formula funding for which it is eligible. It only receives a fraction of its formula funding. What is the lowest prorated level of funding that NYCHA has received since 2001?
I don't know.
It's 82%. So suppose you're a private landlord, and I were to tell you you're only going to receive 82% of the revenues that you expected to receive in the midst of rising expenses, rising taxes, rising water and sewer, rising utilities. Would you experience that as destabilizing?
That would be a very difficult operation.
So it seems like that's relevant context in which to have a conversation about the management of public housing.
You also look,
I rest my case. My time has expired.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from New York, Mr. Garbarino, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you all for the witnesses to be here. And I just was smiling, the previous questioner, and he